Hello, and you're very welcome to another edition, the final edition of the Solid Foundations Property Podcast with myself, Pauric Hilferty, and the one and only. She is back from the UK, Lisa O'Reilly. How are you, Lisa?
I'm good, thanks. Back with a bang. And the day of recording, just to let everyone know, it's the day of the Late Late Toy Show. So
Yeah,
yeah, we can't wait for that. We've all got our sweets and our pajamas ready.
yeah,
How are you keeping, Pauric?
it's going to be good crack. It's a bit like it's a bit like the property market. You just don't know what's coming. Could be anything coming. It's no. I'm looking forward to it. And if you're listening across the world, what is the toy show? Well, it's a very much an Irish thing. The Late Late Show, which is a TV program, and it does a toy show, a special every year. It's for obviously all the kids. And this year, I am thinking, is it a Home Alone theme? Is that right? Am I correct?
Oh, I don't know, to be honest. All I
Oh.
know is it starts at 9:30, which is a ridiculous time for kids. But anyway, yeah, we'll go with it anyway.
On the day it was been released that house prices in Northern Ireland are rising the fastest in the UK, Lisa O'Reilly. You have been over there 6.8%, I hear you say. Great news for Northern Ireland. We're starting off there. We're straight into it today because we've got so much to go through. Look, you're looking at a growth area, and I'm delighted to say it is Northern Ireland. Obviously, you are looking at lower prices when it comes to property prices, but good news nonetheless, Lisa.
Yeah, really good. So are you seeing that on the ground, Porrick, like now when you're going for, when you're bidding, are you kind of getting bidded out by other people, or what way are you seeing it on the ground?
You are starting to see a little bit of that, but as investors, you're looking at the old grunters, as they say. So, um, just the past week, I missed out on an opportunity by a couple of thousand now, but it was one of those that maybe if you're first time buyer or somebody's buying a house, it's not really our market in that particular way. So I do hear it, and you do see prices increasing, but that is starting to play out on the ground, due to the
Yeah.
fact, obviously, that supply is a bit of the issue here as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And are you finding it in like kind of the areas, say, where the big employment is, like the schools, the hospitals, the colleges? Is that where you're kind of seeing the most growth?
Th- those areas are very, very popular. The good areas, the good solid areas, as you've indicated, is really starting to increase. And suppose the big thing, suppose, is no more than Ireland, and you're looking the Southern Ireland. You're looking at a council house from years ago making exceptional money, and you're scratching your head, going, "How is that possible?" And you are seeing that in Northern Ireland as well. And do you know that that signals, those signs are really good, but the stock levels aren't there as well. The big issue in Northern Ireland is utilities at the minute, and a lot of developers have mentioned this to me, about utilities getting water in is having severe issues, and some of them have, they've stopped actually their development goals for next year due to the fact of that. Because obviously, as you know, Lisa, no bank will come calling to you if you can't get your utilities sorted. And when that's going to be sorted, some of them don't know the answer to. So, look, there is positives there for Northern Ireland, but there is still some issues. And look, there's utilities and there's planning as well. But
Yeah.
I'm sure that that is going to be impacted on different areas throughout. There has been, actually, I got a list of different areas over the last couple of months where there's issues at the minute with NI water. And this is for any investor that's looking at this area. They need to know this. It's a water issue. And if you don't have this, in your time frame, or in you could have a serious issue. Like big towns like Ballymena, Larne, Newry, Newton Abbey, Newton Ards, Portadown, Dungannon, Enniskillen, Belfast. So that's a large part of Northern Ireland. Not so much in Derry City yet. No word of it yet. Fingers are still crossed that will be the case, as we do have live sites at the minute, and we're not in that predicament, at the minute anyway.
So is this for new developments in Pauric? Where is that where the supply issue is coming for the new developments?
Um, I suppose from my experience, I'm not 100% sure, but I do believe so. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's even existing buildings that maybe, say for example, you're turned into a HMO. Obviously there's going to be more capacity there going into into the actual NI water system. So that could also be an issue. Now it could be stand to be corrected in that, Lisa, but I think you're right. It's new developments really that is causing the main issue and why developers are thinking twice. And that's it's a big thing to sort, really.
Yeah, it's huge. But what it would mean then, I suppose, is that that's probably then going to mean that the supply of existing houses is going to, there's going to be more of a demand on it. So that could actually increase the price of, say, your 1960s ex council house, if they can't get the development of the new houses on board. So, yeah, I suppose that will have a knock-on impact and potentially the reason why the house prices are increasing, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose like the northwest, this area, northwest where I'm based, it's seen the highest of that all of Northern Ireland. So that indication might possibly lead to that, but it's one factor, Lisa. The other factor is obviously population is rising. People, are looking at, going to a self build, and they're looking at the cost. The cost per square foot has just increased exponentially, and it's just put it too far of people's reach. That's the other side of it as well. So, you're still looking. You're looking at. I'll give you this particular figure: €245,000. Is the standard if you take the average. So that's about roughly 203,000 sterling. So it's still within the reach for a lot of people. And when you're looking at economics and you're looking at wages, like the banks look at that, that's what they're basing it on. So you have to look at those factors as well. But good for the Northwest, great for Northern Ireland, and may it continue.
Yeah, exactly. No, definitely. Yeah, no, it's good to see that. Well, it's. I suppose, look, there's up with every up, there's downs with it as well. Like, but yeah, if you're an existing property owner, in Northern Ireland and your property prices are going up, that's great, obviously. So yeah, no, good to see.
Yeah, and suppose some new laws coming in about new smoke alarms for all NI rental property. So that's something that investors up here are having to deal with now. Obviously, there's clause around that. There is other aspects when it comes to managing damp. There's laws around that coming. So there's loads of legislation change, Lisa, up here, and as I say, there is. Suppose it's like everything. If you're mindful of these things, you will proactively go and seek out and just adhere to what you have to do, and that's what you want to be doing. That's what the stock level here. There's a lot of ex-council houses and ex-council properties that are lying empty. I think the last count over 24,000 or something. I think we referenced it before on the podcast. So there's a lot of different aspects to be adhered. You have been over in the UK, loads and loads of different noises about the budget, and you're going to tell me how we are going to get around all this. Stamp duty. Well, suppose just to give you one live case study, if you want to call it, I was buying a commercial unit and I didn't have to pay any stamp duty on it, so it was a good one. But if I was going to buy a property, obviously it's going to be, a buy-to-let property. That is, you've got extra stamp duty just for just for being a nice person.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I was over in the UK. I returned back after 2 years, 2.5 years, over to Kevin McDonnell and Progressive Property there. And so he did a talk there on how the UK budget is going to affect UK investors. So I will attempt to take his information and pass it on to you.
Oh my God,
So, I know, I'm telling you
you
now,
sound
it's
like
not
him.
my yeah, no, I can't. I'm really bad at accents. I'm really bad at accents. But
Stripey shirt.
I just do a stripy shirt and yeah, maybe I pretend I got a bald head or something. I don't know. Yeah. Sorry, Kevin. So the big one is CGT are on shares has now basically become now at the same rate as CGT on property. So basically what's going to happen is people who were investing their money in shares previously, they're going to say, well, hang on a minute, before it was better to hold your money in shares because the CGT on the sale is lower than
Hmm.
property, but now it's the same rate as property. So that means that there's going to be a lot of money moving from shares to property, and the biggest reason, I suppose, is one, like shares can fluctuate, pretty strongly compared to property. Which property, yes, it can go in little cycles, but ultimately it will eventually go up in the long term. Second reason is why money will move from the share market to the property market is because you can borrow on the strength of property and you can leverage your money, whereas with shares, no bank's going to lend you money to invest in shares. And share, unless you've got a dividend share, shares are really only for the capital growth, really. Whereas property is probably there for for the cash flow as well. So he's saying that there's going to be a bit more money coming into the property, kind of people who would have invested in shares in the past, they're more likely now to come and invest in property. So that was kind of one of the things he was saying. The second thing then is stamp duty has obviously increased for buy-to-let properties. So anybody that has a second property, which will obviously probably be a buy-to-let property, has gone up from up. I think it's up to 8%. I think it is it? Hang on 2 seconds there now. No, it's gone from 3% to 5% on buy-to-let properties. And he was saying what that means is that the BRRR, which is your buy, refurb, rent, and refinance. He thinks that no. He said no. Sorry. He said buy to flip is dead. That's what he's saying. So the increase in stamp duty means that any small builder who was kind of buying a property, doing it up, selling it for maybe like a 40, 50K profit, that market is more or less gone now with the increase in the stamp duty. Um, because it just doesn't make sense because of the stamp duty. So a lot of people at the time that the budget was announced, they were trying to get their deals through really quickly in order for for them to get the lower
So
stamp duty.
hang on here. So,
Uh,
so what you're really saying is, so you get a property 100 grand. You see there's about 70 or 80 grand equity in it if you can, not equity, but if you add value and sell. So you buy it at say 100, you do 40 grand's worth of work. It's worth 180, okay,
yeah,
or even 200. You're saying that profit margin, it's not it's not worth it anymore. Is that what you're saying?
been eroded because you see, when you eventually sell that property or you flip that property, there's going to be stamp duty on the purchase cost of that. So it's gonna kind of disincentivize people buying property, or buy to let property. Um, so basically, where is the opportunity in this? And the opportunity, I suppose, is also bear in mind if you're buying to flip, you're not only paying the higher stamp duty on the purchase price, which is going to erode your profit. The buyer is also, going to be paying stamp duty on the higher selling price. So again, it just disincentivizes the whole kind of buy to flip market. So where's the
Mhm.
opportunity, I suppose? And the opportunity here is in assisted sales. So as opposed to buying to flip, if you're a small builder, or not even a small builder, but if you're a builder, say, and that was what your strategy was, in your spare time. So you did most of your work, say, for other people, but when, as soon as you built up cash flow, you used to buy a property, do it up, flip it on, just as a side project. Rather than maybe go down that route, you could do what's called assisted sales. So assisted sales would be something where, just say Pauric, you own a property, and at the moment it's worth 150,000. But if you put a nice refurb on that, to the tune of say maybe 40,000, you could actually sell that property maybe for 250,000. So thereby making a 60 grand profit. So if the builder comes in and he says, look, I'll put in that refurb money for you. You don't put in that refurb money, Pauric. You have your 150 grand house. I'll do the refurb. But when we go and we have to sell the house at the end of it, and anything you make on that house over and above the 190,000, which is your 150,000 for the value of the house, plus my 40,000 for the refurb that I've put in. Okay. Any money, any profit that we make above that, we split 50-50 or whatever the agreement is. And for the builder who's doing this actually becomes commission, like a commission type income, which is for corporation tax purposes doesn't have to be paid for, however long it takes to get your taxes in order, which can be down the road. Whereas, like if the builder wanted to buy and flip, he's going to be paying stamp duty on the purchase, and he's going to be paying capital gains tax on the sale of the property, and the capital gains tax is payable within 30 days of the sale. So he's basically saying that assisted sales, this new regime has made assisted sales much more attractive to the builder who would have been inclined in the past to buy and flip.
So that's say 6 grand on 100, or sorry, 5 grand on 100. Then out the other side, then the person buying it at the higher is going to be say 190 plus the the 5% there. So your 190 plus your 5% is just doing your figures there. It's going to cost you. Just do it a little. Just let's see what it is, Lisa, because it's good theory and everything, but you're going to pay 9.5 grand on capital gains. The buyer, that is, yeah, is that correct?
The buyer will pay the stamp duty on the final selling price. So if we sell it for, say the house is worth 150, we put in a 40 grand refurb, which brings it up to 190, and we sell it, say, for 250. So the buyer is going to have to pay 250 plus stamp duty on the 250. So 5%. Then it just makes it at 5%, and then it just makes it kind of like a really expensive buy.
So it's 12.5 grand then.
Yeah. So
12.5 grand plus your whatever you paid, the builder has paid. So the government's doing all right there, aren't they? So that's
yeah.
Okay.
He's doing all right.
So out of that one sale, they're going to get their 12.5 grand plus the
Well, they're going to get 12.5 grand on the flip, okay. Mm-hmm. But they're also going to get their 5% on whatever you purchase the property for in the first place. The purchaser bought the property for in the first place. So that's basically stamp duty. The other thing then he was talking about is, and where the big opportunity potentially is the inheritance tax on land. So there's going to be a lot of farmers now who in the past would, if you have property or land that's in excess of say 2 million, that would have been kind of exempt from any inheritance tax, and now it is taxed at, I think 500 grand of it of a 2 million portfolio would be taxed at 40% inheritance tax.
Oh.
So so basically farmers are going to have to sell property sell some land in order to cover some of this tax. So I believe in the past, if it was all kind of agricultural property and it qualified as agricultural property, then there was, and you inherit, or you gave it to your son or gave it to your grandkids or whatever, there was no inheritance tax if it was qualifying agricultural property. But now with this new government, up to 1 million is exempt, but anything over 1 million, 50% of that is actually taxed, and the tax rate is, I believe, 40% for higher earners. So it just encourages farmers maybe to have to sell some land in order to cover this tax bill. So there could be some opportunity there in terms of land that's being sold at the moment.
Okay, it's a it's a bit of a minefield, I suppose. But look, trying to break it down, it's complex, but it's figures at the end of the day, and it's just given that kind of a balance conversation about it more so in the Irish market currently as well. Obviously, there's been an election. How that's going to affect things, Lisa? Um, is there any kind of guidance in that regard on how it's going to affect, or I know the RT is it the actual
RTB.
Irish RTB has come out with some guidelines on the rent pressure zones. Is that correct? I think maybe I'm picking that one up wrong, but there was some guidance in regards to that.
I think well, first of all, I think that there's not going to be massive change. The fact that Sinn Féin probably didn't get in, so I think that they're going to maintain. Personally, I think they're going to maintain what they're doing for a while. I can't see them making any kind of drastic changes. For sure, the RTB needs to be looked at. It's not fit for purpose in my mind. Um, and we just hear more and more stories of them not supporting landlords. Landlords are leaving in their droves. And personally, I think that being a landlord in Ireland on one or two properties, like it's just not worth it. I think that it's probably people who are making a business out of it. Um, are the ones that, in order to navigate this kind of this rental market in Ireland with all of its kind of legislation towards the tenants. To be honest, I don't think we even have as much legislation in terms of the property as the UK, like with HMOs and all the rest of it. And if that comes on top of all the legislation that we do have with the tenants, I just think it's just going to drive even more landlords out of the market. I was speaking to a couple of estate agents lately, and there's a lot of first time and second time buyers who are buying at the moment, and that they're the ones that are pushing up the prices. But you find very few kind of investors are in the market now to buy to let properties. So the demand is there because the population is there, but it's not necessarily from investors. It's mainly kind of homeowners. So yeah, I think definitely something needs to be looked at to try and encourage more landlords into the market.
And looking at, I suppose you started out on the other aspects of your new business as such, Lisa. So that's it's finding its infancy as well. Tell us a little bit about it.
So city stays. So this is for medium, kind of short to medium term accommodation for workers. So big projects going on in Ireland. They're maybe doing a project for maybe 3, 4, 5 months. Maybe building data centers, solar farms, those big projects that require kind of 50 fellas to come over and work on the project. So yeah, we're providing kind of that medium term kind of accommodation for them. We can do anywhere in Ireland. At the moment, we are heavily based obviously in Waterford because that's where I'm living and that's where most of the property is. We've also got a good few now in Dublin and Kildare. And yeah, that's probably we're following where the big projects are going, Cork, Limerick. So yeah, we're basically following where the big projects are going, and we're providing that type of accommodation. So it's probably cheaper than hotels, but more expensive than say them renting themselves. Why wouldn't they just want to rent themselves? Well, a couple of reasons. One is that a landlord probably won't want to rent to these people with for 3, 4 months at a time, and we're providing that additional service like cleaning and kind of maintenance checks and all the rest of it. So we're kind of adding a layer of kind of supervision and checks into the process. So yeah, no, it's good. We're getting going there now. We can see the demand is really ramping up.
And you've got a van, which is good. So well done there. Yeah, yeah,
Did you see the social media picture with the van? You did.
yeah. It was good. I thought you were going to start selling fireplaces after it, and carpet and everything. So I'll be waiting on you to call up here. Can't wait to see, and you better have good deals with you. So do take
Yeah.
out.
And how
Hmm?
how about you, Pauric? What deals are you working on at the moment? Tell us
Yeah,
more.
yeah. We've got our next HMO. Just speaking to the builder today, we've got all the wires pulled for the electrical, which was a big bit of work. In a HMO, there's just fully new wires going on everywhere. Um, we took out the back wall because we're making the kitchen living room bigger. So it's kind of like the un sexy part kind of where we're at now. It's all, oh Jesus, what are you doing? And you're looking at walls and you're trying to get a vision of where it's going to go. So it's all that heavy labor now to get it got it out, and there's nothing fancy about it, to be honest. But it's now when you get your plumbing organized and get your all your ducks in a row for that aspect, because if you skim over that and we miss maybe just getting the electrician to pull the wire down for a cable or something, it's a real, so you have to make sure that it goes right. So that's where we're at in that one. And as I say, we were looking at another one, but it fell through, or well, I was beaten to it, unfortunately. But yeah, we're still analysing a couple of more HMOs in the city. And as I say, we still have our big heritage building that we're working on. And it's kind of, yeah, people would ask you, about those types of buildings. They do come with a lot of different aspects of it that you have to really think about. And to be honest, a bit of a learning curve for me. Just about, you're learning about knotweed, and you're learning about I don't know if you've seen any of my social posts. They were all very much around the damp aspect of it. Replace windows. You can't put up this type. You have to get a special. It's all about specialists here. That's the only word.
Mm.
Specialist window installer, specialist gutters, and yeah. So look, it's a big project. We're our application is in for licensing now currently as well. So look, it's going to be an amazing building whenever it's finished. I've got that vision in my head, and hopefully be able to take you around it, Lisa, and anybody else that wants to come. Yeah, whenever it's finished. But
Yeah,
it,
you should
it
do an investor day. You should bring us all around
yeah,
and maybe do a day. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people out there who would love to see kind of what you're at and how you add value to a property, right?
yeah, absolutely, and how we finish them to such a high standard, and that's what we want to do, and continue the business that way, and bringing investors along on the journey is very important as well, Lisa, because it's one of those, we can't do our business without with them, and they can't do their, they can't get the returns. As you were indicating, shares is another aspect. We're possibly speaking to a couple of pension funds as well. They might look to work with us on that aspect also, um, because there's such a demand, and because there is that element of a lot of buildings lying about, re-engineering them, getting them back up and getting them going. I just love that part of it, Lisa, and I think that's the reason why you're in it as well, because you can see that you can take this building, you can make so much with it. Like, you're creative, and whenever you're creative, obviously there's other angles that will come in that way. And as you've identified, there's a massive issue, and like trades that come from all over, they don't like staying in hotels, and
Mm,
that's not you saying that, that's them telling you, and they don't like that
mm.
because they want a home experience, and that is really, really good, and it's good to see that business up and going, and that comes from that entrepreneurial spirit that you have. And you didn't get an award last weekend over in England. I'm going to have a word with Kevin. Um,
Thanks for bringing
why?
that up. I really
Why?
appreciate that. That's yeah, yeah. No, didn't win an award. That's fine.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's just move on from that, eh? Imagine I
yeah.
haven't actually won. I think I've been in for a couple of awards now, and I've not won one award, and it's not a sore subject. Honestly, it's not. I don't need any recognition. I just carry on
Uh,
plodding on.
you were the drunkest person in the room, maybe. Is it? No, you
Yeah.
weren't actually. No,
No,
I'm
I
only joking.
wasn't.
But look, in all seriousness,
Um,
that's what we're at.
Yeah,
2025. Or my goal is to continue building the business in that regard and building. We've got a great build team there as well. Pardon the pun, but we have a great team, and we're just keep working at what we're doing. We had actually the Northwest Property Meet. We did have a night out. It was great crack. It was, I have to say it myself. It was good fun. We had people from all over the UK came. We had people from Dublin. We had people over from different parts of Northern Ireland as well. But it just, it's bringing those networks together. In fact, it's fascinating. One of the girls that was there, she does international property in Dubai, all over. All over the world, actually, so it was really interesting speaking to Belinda from Bellini International Property. Just it was great to have them over to discuss what they were doing and the way Dubai is moving. And actually, they do a lot of business in China, so they're out there. If you check out Bellini International Property, they're out there currently doing a show on opportunities in Dubai. But it's really interesting, as you mentioned, the tax element and how Dubai can actually be more beneficial. And you're always weary of other countries, and it's just really trying to see how they're mitigating a lot of that as well.
yeah.
So there's so much benefit of buying over in Dubai, but it's for another podcast, I think, Lisa.
Yeah, yeah. I often would have my head turned, and I'd look around and see, oh, what's other people doing and all the rest of it. And when I first started this, I was doing a lot of that, and I realized, you know what, it's actually taken away from
Mhm.
what I know and what I'm doing. So yeah, I hear about them all, but you know what, I'm focusing on what I know. So it's like this city stays business that we're after starting there this year. Like it's really only an extension of what I currently do anyway in Waterford. It's just bringing it to
Yeah,
other counties basically. So so therefore, because I'm already doing it and my head is focused in this, it
yeah,
means that I can become better at one thing rather than, you know,
yeah,
pretty crap
exactly. Yeah,
at lots of different things. So
and
yes. Sorry, go on.
no, and that's so much, so true, I should say, for so many aspects in what you've been trying to do. Because if you've done the courses and you're learning, your head's been turned by service accommodation. You've been turned about rent to rents, and you're going, right, so how am I going to get out? All those different aspects. So it's really important to be focused, and I think that's the big key message for anything that you want to really get good at is really, really focus. And I know a lot of our listeners are just starting out, Lisa. They're just wondering, how can they do this? What way can they actually start into property? And sometimes it can be very, very difficult. But get focused, get a plan, and get talking to someone who's down the road a bit further than you. Isn't that right, Lisa?
Yeah, definitely. I would always recommend someone to go for, training, and free information is as good as it sounds. It's free and therefore that's the quality you're going to get. So do a bit of free training if that's the way you want to do it on the internet and that and get started. Absolutely. But then maybe niche down and find someone that, you can kind of align with. There's a lot over in the UK, a lot of property trainers, and now that actually there's some decent ones popping up their heads there in Ireland. So yeah, get a bit of training. It costs you now, but it probably save you in the long run. I've just signed up again for another mentorship after 2 years away. I want that kickstart again. And I just think that's, talking to someone on a regular basis with someone who's done it, been there and done that, and is actively rooting for you, I think it is priceless. So I would say for any kind of newbies out there, yeah, do look for some sort of mentorship, some sort of property training. And yeah, no, that's essentially it. So my plans then for 2025, I suppose my goals are to grow City Stays. So we want to become like one of the leading providers of corporate lets in Ireland. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on. It's all going to be about City Stays. I'm going to I'm going to do my mentorship next year, and I'm going back to Australia again for another little visit over there. Actually, this is a good one for you, Pauric. You'd like this. So I'm heading to
You've a
Australia.
spare,
The main
you've a,
reason,
you've a, you've a spare ticket. All right, yeah. Go ahead,
yeah,
keep
yeah,
going.
yeah, yeah. My main reason is obviously my sister lives over there, so I'm going over to see my sister and her little baby. She just had a baby. But I'm going doubling it up, and there's a lot of money actually over in Australia. So people are going over there to make a lot of money. The mines, especially on the west coast in Perth, that's generated a lot of income in Perth. There's a lot of guys or women as well over there who've made a lot of money, Irish people, and they looking to invest their money. They love property because all Irish love property, and so basically, I'm going to hold like an event in my sister's pub. She has a pub over there, an Irish pub. So it's called Molly's Pub, and I'm going to be holding an event in February when I'm over there. I'll give some more information nearer the
Brilliant.
time. And it's basically going to be an information evening for Irish expats in Perth who want to invest in property.
Mhm.
And yeah, so basically that's my kind of loose plans
That's
for next year.
That's amazing. That is the type of thinking that we need to be doing, and that's the type of people thinking. If you're listening, you need to be doing too, because you go to where you can get the money. Lisa, it's been a brilliant 2024 on the podcast. We're ramping things up again next year, and suppose before I go, obviously the goals and different goals aspects. So my first goal is get my HMO finished, and the next one, get it up and get it running. Get the second, the third one, get it started. So hopefully around about March time, we should know, and it's getting exciting. We're getting builders in and quotes and the whole shit and shebang. I'll be flapping, and it'll be, it'll be busy, but I'm really, really looking forward to it. And yeah, scaling the business as well. We do have some big plans, so I have another maybe 2 HMOs next year in the hopper. I seen a beautiful one the last day. I'll tell you about it if it comes, but it could be quite a big project there if it comes to fruition. But no, my goals are another 2 HMOs next year, and really develop our podcast and get, I suppose, a little bit of a better handle on getting the publicity side of it done, Lisa, and giving our listeners more and more good information, and trying to. We've got some really good guests lined up for next year as well. So really looking forward to that.
Yeah. Yeah, we do. We have really good guests on, and I suppose as well, if you want to DM us and let us know, we really want to kind of make this kind of, what you're looking for. So if there's anybody out there who'd like us to cover anything, I would tend to go with towards the tax because that's just my background. I'm an
You're
accountant.
bored.
Pauric is a boring accountant. Pauric goes with the boring dampness and like boilers and all the
No, no,
boring
no,
building type
no,
stuff.
no, I don't know. No, no.
So if there's anybody kind of wants us to cover anything, or even wants us to bring a guest that like, or a type of a guest, like maybe they want someone legal or they want another tax expert to come on, reach out to us and let us know what you'd like us to, what you'd like us to bring, who you'd like us
Yeah,
to bring on, or
absolutely.
what you'd like us to talk about.
Yeah. And it's researching that market and that aspect of what people want to know about, and it's interesting as well. But look, there's so much good knowledge out there, but it's even better when you hear it from people who actually do it. And is that right, Lisa? It's so important. So if you are thinking about getting into property, get around people that are doing it, go to the networking events, and ask questions, buy a coffee,
Yeah,
buy a drink, bottle of wine.
yeah, yeah. And one of the best networking events that I'm involved in, two networking events or two networking groups, and I'd highly recommend them. One would be the PPN in Dublin. So Stephen runs that. So check out the PPN on a Facebook group. DM me if you'd like to go, and I can get you hooked up. And the second one is a FIABCI, FIABCI. It's more like an international. It's an Irish chapter of an international networking group. So and we host kind of maybe 4 events a year with the FIABCI. So I suppose it's just bringing kind of people who are active investors into a room together, collaborative, sharing ideas, and
Mhm.
ultimately like kind of doing business and supporting each other. And then obviously Pauric, then you have your
Yeah,
Northwest
in the
company.
Northwest. We have the Northwest Property Meet. There's the Belfast Property Meet up in Belfast, and there's a Papadom's event up there too as well. NI Property Girl does some events. There's loads in Northern Ireland. There's only mine in the Northwest area. So if you're in that area, once a month, we're back on Tuesday the 20th. I think it is of February. It's the last Tuesday of February, and we're going to be doing some really good stuff for people who's trying to get into to understand. We're going to be doing some deal diaries. Okay, breaking down some projects. Look, it's been an amazing 2024. 2025 is just going to get bigger and better. As Donald Trump would say, it's going to get better. It's going to be amazing. Lisa, it's going to be amazing. You go to Australia. Huh?
You kind of look a little bit like Trump, actually, Pauric.
Sorry?
You kind of look a little bit like Trump, actually. You kind of remind me a little bit of him.
That's all from us from the Solid Foundations Property Podcast. We will be back in January. Do take care.
Thank you.